Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tarnished of all ages, we have here, man, this is Elden Ring patch notes version 1.04. This was released this morning, April 19th, 2022. Looks like FromSoftware, Bandai Namco have released the patch notes for the next update. So this is pretty exciting to see what we get in this next update and everything, and see, the direction that the game is going in, some balance changes, and see if they're adding stuff, taking stuff away. So this should be pretty exciting. So Elden Ring patch notes, version 1.04. Let's take a look, guys. I'm sure all these videos are going to be popping up on the YouTubes and everything. So let's take a look right now. Okay, so Elden Ring patch notes 1.04. Let's see, Elden Ring notice of update distribution. We are distributing an update to improve the stability of gameplay and to adjust balance. We apologize for the inconvenience, but please apply the latest update before you enjoy the game. All right. Targeted platform, of course, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Steam, as in PC. So, let's take a look. Major changes included in the latest update, additional elements added. So these are additional elements added. Added an option to turn camera auto rotate function on or off. Added some event phases for the NPC patches. Ooh, looks like patches got some more stuff. So patches has more event phases, which is super unfortunate for me because yeah, killed patches. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I locked myself out of some stuff from his quest line. I don't know. He made me mad. He made me mad. So I fought him and I defeated him, and yeah, so I no longer have him in the game. So he wasn't even in Volcano Manor for me. He wasn't at the Shady Castle for me. So that's unfortunate. So I'll have to check out these new events, these new event phases for patches in my new game plus, or on my new character. So that's that. All right, so balance adjustment. So this one's gonna be interesting. So increased colossal swords, colossal weapons attack speed, and lowered their recovery time. Jump attack not included. Okay, so jump attack for colossal swords and colossal weapons has remained untouched. They did increase weapon attack speed, lowered the recovery time. All right. Increase the two-handed attack damage of colossal swords and colossal weapons. Jump attack not included. Again, so the jump attack remains untouched, but they did increase the two-handed attack damage. I don't know how I feel about this. People were using a lot of these colossal weapons anyway as is for the bonk, for the bonk build. And now they have increased damage. Now they do have lowered recovery time, so they're not going to be able to spam attacks as fast, but if they land that attack, increased damage, increased two-hand damage, jump attacks remain the same. Increased physical block rate and guard boost of the colossal sword and colossal weapons. Okay, so they can block better with those weapons, which, honestly makes sense. It doesn't make sense that you would be able to block as much with a katana, with an uchi katana, or a dagger, as much as a colossal sword. It's a lot bigger, it's more mass, covers more surface area. So, that makes sense, that they would have increased physical block rate. That makes sense. So, colossal swords, colossal weapons, great sword, great hammer, great axe, great spear, and halberd weapon classes. Increase the damage of the grafted blade greatsword. That's the one that's got it's the sword that's made up of all the swords, the homage to the Game of Thrones. So increase the damage of the grafted blade greatsword, which is kind of cool. I didn't see a whole lot of people using it, so maybe that brings a little bit more attention to the weapon, because it's a pretty cool weapon if you haven't seen it. It's a pretty awesome looking weapon. Increase the damage of Devourer's Scepter. Okay. Decrease the scaling of status effect buildup from spells and incantations of Albinaric Staff and Dragon Communion Seal. So decreased the scaling of status effect buildup from spells and incantations of the Albinaric Staff and Dragon Communion Seal. decrease the effect of Great Shield Talisman for weapons with high block rate. So this actually, if you've seen builds on YouTube and people that have done their builds, this actually means that those like untouchable builds that, you know, I've seen with the shields, Great Shield Talisman, that you get the like guard boost above 100, physical damage 100, you know what I'm saying? So they decrease the effect that that talisman would have on those shields that are already quite, you know, quite large. Okay. Shorten the length of the Madness Afflicted animation. Ooh, shorten the length of the Madness Afflicted animation. So this means that they would be able to complete that Madness Afflicted faster. They shortened the length of the Madness Afflicted animation. Lowered the speed of Madness Build-Up Recovery. What? Lowered the speed of Madness Build-Up Recovery? I think the speed of recovery for status effects, period, is honestly fine where it's at. It's takes a while. Takes a while. And Madness is one of those things that, I mean, if it procs, you're pretty much dead. It's like Deathblight. I mean, you're pretty much dead. So lowering the speed of Madness build-up recovery, I don't know how that's gonna go. That's gonna bring probably gonna see a lot more people using Madness in PvP. I mean, as if we hadn't already, but we're probably gonna see a lot more using Madness in PvP for sure. Slightly increased FP and stamina growth rate at lower levels. So slightly increased FP and stamina growth rate at lower levels. And we have the asterisk here. Players will need to perform any of the following actions for the changes to be reflected. This is required only once. New characters created after this update will not require this action. So players will need to perform any of the following actions for the changes to take effect. For this change to take effect, for current characters, they'd have to level up, activate Godric's Great Rune, re-equipping any equipment, armor talisman, which grants bonus stat to either strength, dexterity, vigor, endurance, intelligence, faith, or arcane, or other enemy and weapon balance changes. Oh, so other, okay. So new characters won't have to worry about doing anything. So to slightly increase the FP and stamina growth rate at lower levels, you'd have to level up, activate the Great Rune, perform any of the following actions. So you can do any of these, or re-equip, take off the armor and talismans that give you the buffs, and then put them back on. And you'll get that slightly increase. See, the thing is, when FromSoftware says slightly on some of those talismans and stuff, they really mean slightly. So it's probably not huge. It's not huge. It's not huge. But hey, there you go. There you have it. Sorcery and incantations. Upward adjustments. Crystal Barrage. Increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Gavel of Heim. I've seen that one. That one's pretty cool animation. Increased cast speed and decreased recovery time allows caster to more easily withstand enemies' attacks while casting. That's cool because, you know, there's been a couple times, and I know that this is, it doesn't even look like it's on the list, but Adula's Moonblade, I know that, you know, sometimes they'll, you know, I guess in essence, kind of like poise break me while I'm doing the spell. So this one is the Gavel of Heim is like a big hammer. Just like Adula's Moonblade, but it's like a hammer. All right, it's a magic hammer. So allows caster to more easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. That's pretty cool. Shatter Earth. Increased cast speed and decreased recovery time allows caster to more easily withstand enemies' attack while casting. So we see that they're kind of giving a buff to some mages here. Mages are going to be able to get some of these spells off. Allows caster more easily withstand enemies' attack while casting. So they'll be able to tank that attack and still get the spell off, which is kind of cool. I feel like that changes the playing field, right? Rock Blaster, decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. Thop's Barrier, ooh, this was a big one. Increased area of effect and slightly increased effect duration. That is a huge buff to Thop's Barrier. Thop's Barrier was already good, and now we have basically a buff to Thop's Barrier. Increased area of effect and slightly increased effect duration. That's pretty cool. We got our full moon sorceries here, okay? Ooh, Renala's full moon and Ronnie's dark moon increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Wow, that's a buff right there. Looks like sorcery is getting a lot of buffs here. The Carrion Greatsword, increased cast speed at lower dexterity. Okay, all right. I mean, that makes sense. If you have already higher dexterity, your cast speed's already higher. It probably wasn't going to make a difference in terms of the stats and how that was done. So lower dexterity, you can get off the Carrion Greatsword a little bit faster, which is cool. Looks like they did not give that to Adulas. I'm jumping down a little bit to see, but I don't see Adulas on here. So, okay. Magma Shot, decreased FP cost and increased cast speed. All right. Roiling Magma, increased cast speed and decreased time until magma explodes. So increased cast speed, decreased time until magma explodes. So you're gonna get that off faster. Gelmir's Fury, slightly decreased the random nature of projectiles range and increased the damage of Lava Pool, increased the hitbox. Yeah, sorceries are getting a lot of buffs here. I think that what they found was this must be their answer to bleed, right? A lot of people in PvP right now are heavily using bleed tactics. I've seen some madness. This must be the answer to get some more sorcery players out there, which is cool because I'm a mage. My main is a mage, so this is kind of cool. I don't really use any of these spells. I use Rani's Dark Moon, so the increased cast speed and decreased time, that's pretty awesome. And Carrion Greatsword, but I use the Duelas. I don't use the Carrion Greatsword, I use the Duelas. Reichard's Rancor, decreased FP cost. Oracle Bubbles, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Great Oracular Bubble, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. These are all buffs. Briars of Sin, I was reading this on the live stream, the description for these two yesterday. Decreased recovery time, increased blood loss buildup on the enemy. Interesting. Briars of Punishment, decreased recovery time, increased blood loss buildup on enemy. Explosive Ghost Flame, decreased FP cost and recovery time. These are all like good buffs basically for mages, right? And incantations. Tibia Summon, increased damage and cast speed. Aspects of the Crucible, the tail and the horns, decreased FP cost and stamina cost. And for the horns, increased cast speed. Increased the distance traveled when not charged and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch when charged. So easier to make them stagger when you charge this up. Elden Stars, one of the legendary incantations. Increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. We're seeing that a lot here. Black Blade, decreased stamina consumption and decreased recovery time. Discus of Light. This is the one that the Clean Rot Knights use, if I'm not mistaken, with their weapon. Decreased FP cost, increased damage and cast speed. Triple Rings of Light, increased damage. That's cool. Radigan's Rings of Light, decreased FP cost, increased damage and cast speed, decreased recovery time. Wow, these are all incantations and all these spells getting buffs. Lightning Strike, decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Which obviously the theme, I feel like really all of these, that's the theme here. They're increasing either damage, cast speed, decreasing recovery time. Honed Bolt, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Ancient Dragon's Lightning Spear, decreased FP and stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike, decreased recovery time. Lanciax's Glaive, I got that a few days back, decreased FP and stamina cost. Ooh. Increased cast speed, decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand. They really want people to use this one. That's gonna, they decreased the cost, FP, stamina, increased cast speed, decreased recovery time, and basically harder to poise break when you're casting. That's crazy. Fortisax's Lightning Spear, same thing. Same thing. So these dragon incantations are getting buffs also. Don't know that they needed it. Really, I'm not sure that they really needed it, but again, I'm not using dragon incantations. I'm strictly mage, so I'm not fully sure about that. But I feel like they didn't need that. But I could be wrong. You guys let me know if I'm wrong. If these dragon incantations and things like that, like the lightning spears and the glaive and stuff like that, kind of those like those weapons, those special weapons that the dragons use, needed these buffs. Frozen Lightning Spear, decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed, and decreased recovery time. Allow caster, same thing, allow caster more easily withstand enemy attack while casting. Death Lightning, decreased FP cost, increased the duration of death accumulating smoke. Let's see here. Oh, Flame has increased damage. Giant's Flame Take Thee, decreased stamina cost. Flame of the Fell God, decreased FP cost and increased damage. I like increased damage. Whirl O Flame, increased damage, decreased recovery time. Burn O Flame, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Black Flame, increased damage and the spell can break enemies' guard more easily. Scouring Black Flame is decreased FP cost and recovery time, increased attack range and area of effect. Black Flame Ritual is the reduced FP cost and increased damage. Garonk's Beast Claw, increased damage and decreased recovery time. That's cool because I see a lot of builds that are trying to use like, can you like beast builds, which is cool because I think some of this stuff creates a lot of more different builds that we can see, right? So when we talk about some of these like the death spells, like I kind of like what I call the dark side of faith, right? And then some of these dragon incantations and weapons, stuff like that. And, the beast, the claws, you see blood flame talons, some of these are pretty cool because you see dragon claw down here and everything. I feel like this provides different tactics to combat against, and we'll see if they do anything with Rivers of Blood. I didn't see anything about Adula's Moonblade, so that's remaining untouched. And so far, nothing about Rivers of Blood. We'll see what happens in the patch notes. But this is pretty cool because we see something that allows more versatility with incantations, especially. I honestly don't see a lot of people using incantations, especially in PvP. I see a lot of people using it for the buffs, but not necessarily for the offense, right? So this is pretty cool that some of these are getting damage increases, increase in cast speed, decrease in costs. So you have different options. You have more options. Blood Flame Talons, decrease FP cost and increase cast speed, decreased recovery time. Blood Boon, increased damage, increased cast speed, and decreased effect startup time, decreased recovery time. That's a huge buff to that. Pest Threads, decreased stamina cost. That's pretty cool. I've seen a couple videos where people go and get revenge on the roaches, like in the Lake of Rot and stuff like that. So that's pretty funny. That's called the Pest Threads, when those things, they shoot the white, missiles at you and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Decreased stamina cost. So they said damage and everything's fine, just decrease the stamina cost. Scarlet Aeonia, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, allows caster to more easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. Unendurable Frenzy, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time, decreased the random nature of projectiles range and increased madness buildup on enemies. That's a pretty big buff for that one. Inescapable Frenzy, increased cast speed. Placidusax's Ruin, decreased FP, stamina cost, and recovery time. Dragon Claw, decreased FP, stamina cost, and recovery time, and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch when charged. That's going to be a good one. That's a big buff for this, for that right incantation right there, Dragon Claw. Dragon Maw, decreased FP, same thing as the Dragon Claw. Grail's Roar, decreased FP, stamina cost, and recovery time. That's pretty cool for the Roar. Upward and downward. Oh, here it is. Upward and downward adjustments. Adula's Moonblade. Break my heart. Decreased the power of single cast and improved performance so that the blades and frost hit more consistently and continuously. Increased cast speed at lower dexterity. So looks like, remember in my video the other day, when I was talking about how you want to single cast Adulas for maximum damage because chain casting just wasn't cutting it. Looks like they balanced that out. So decrease the power of a single cast and improved performance so that the blades and frost hit more consistently and continuously. So it looks like we'll get more, I don't know, we'll have to test that out. Does that actually equate to better damage output? Because they definitely debuffed it, decreased the power of single cast, which was the bread and butter of Adula's Moonblade, single cast. Hit it, dodge, hit it, dodge, hit it, right? That was the way you were going to maximize damage. Now that's different. They decreased that on the single cast. And I don't know if what they're saying is here, improved performance so that the blades and frost hit more consistently and continuously. Does that mean chain casting? So is it reversed now? So are they going for, say, hey, if you want maximum damage output on it, chain cast, because the frost and blades are going to hit more consistently and more continuously, right? We'll have to test that out. New video coming on Adula's Moonblade. I'm going to do a new video for sure. Flame, fall upon them, decrease the damage of single cast and improve the performance so that it hits the enemy multiple times, decrease FP cost. Looks like that probably had the same thing going on as Adula's, where if you would single cast it, you're going to have a lot more of a damage output than chain casting and stuff like that. So Howl of Shabriri, decrease the madness buildup on the enemy, increase cast speed, and decreased recovery time. Downward adjustments. So that's why they call this an upward and downward, because they debuff the single cast, but looks like maybe chain casting is a little bit more viable now. So it's like a kind of a balance. So downward adjustments, so straight debuffs. Swarm of Flies, decrease blood loss buildup on enemy. I saw that coming. The Flame of Frenzy, decrease madness buildup on enemy. Frenzied Burst, decrease madness. Yeah, these were super OP incantations and spells and whatnot. So yeah, I'm not surprised that they did a debuff on these. All right, weapon skills. All right, here we go. Weapon skills. Let's talk about weapon skills. All right, upward adjustments. So buffs, right? Lion's Claw, increase cast speed and decrease recovery time. The kick has increased cast speed. Get out of here. Don't make me laugh. Are you serious? Are you really serious? Okay. All right, whatever. Huaralu's Earthshaker, increased cast speed on follow-up input, decreased recovery time. So chaining that, right? Chaining that together. Troll's Roar, decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed on follow-up input, increased distance traveled. If I'm not mistaken, I've been seeing people use this in PvP as their Ash of War, and it looked pretty viable. I don't know that it really needed a buff. I thought it was fine the way it was. From what I saw from PvPers using it, it looked pretty good. So this is going to be even better. We'll probably see even more people using it now as a means to kind of keep people at a distance or to punish people when you're farther away from them and then they go for the heal or they go for something like that, and then you can punish them with the roar. Giant Hunt, decreased recovery time. Storm Assault, decreased recovery time. Carrying Greatsword, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Increased the damage when charged and made it easier to cause enemies to flinch. Of course, remember, these are the weapon skills. So these are your Ashes of War. Carrying Grandeur, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Same thing. Increased the damage when charged and made it easier for enemies to flinch. Gravitas. Oh, I liked this one. I always liked the concept behind Gravitas. So increased cast speed, which I'm honestly happy about because it's a kind of a cool, I think the gravity sorceries are really cool. Especially when you fight those vampires, those like tall, big vampires that have the gravity sorcery, those monsters. I always thought the gravity spells were really cool. So Gravitas getting an increase in cast speed, I think is mainly for PvP. I'm going to be honest. So I think that opens up more build possibilities, more things that you can do with your Ashes of War and your weapon. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Flaming Strike, increase the travel distance of a stepping cleave in a strong attack. Black Flame Tornado, added hitbox to weapon when spinning, and added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. That's interesting. Lightning Slash, increased cast speed, added a hitbox to the stomp animation. Sacred Blade, increased cast speed. A lot of these increased cast speed. So increased cast speed for Sacred Ring of Light and Poisonous Mist. Poison Moth Flight, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Ice Spear, added a hitbox to the weapon spinning animation. Chilling Mist, increased cast speed. This is interesting because I always wanted to add Chilling Mist. I think that's the one where you buff the weapon and it shoots out the mist as well. So increasing that cast speed is pretty cool because that gives you a lot of different options in the middle of a fight. Assassin's Gambit, increased cast speed. Shield Bass, increased cast speed. Shield Crash, decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed. Blade of Gold, decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Blade of Death, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. So, it's common for these buffs. Golden Tempering, decreased FP cost and increased cast speed, increased effect duration. Last Rites, increased cast speed. Mist of Slumber, increased cast speed. Aokade's Dancing Blade, increased travel distance. Added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. This is, see, they want stuff like this used for PvP, because if you're adding that in there, that's, I believe, that's really for PvP. That's what that is. And what we have here is the possibility to do feints. When you see these buffs like this, and Black Flame Tornado and this one, where they added a window to roll to cancel the animation, that's basically meaning that's going to be something that's going to be very viable in PvP, or they want it to be very viable in PvP, because you can feint now. You can start that animation and then in that window roll during the attack, cancel the animation, and you get your roll in, and then you could probably follow up with an attack or something else. So that's pretty interesting. Unblockable Blade, increased cast speed with the weapon Coated Sword. I don't really use the Coated Sword. It's a Faith Sword. It's a pretty cool looking sword, but it's a Faith Sword. So Unblockable Blade, increasing the cast speed with that sword. Alabaster Lord's Pool, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. And again, we see this again. Added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Very interesting. Established Order, decreased recovery time and increased cast speed on follow-up input. Increased damage, made it easier to cause enemies to flinch. Oh, the Moonlight Greatsword, what did you do? Decreased FP cost. Nice. I got my dog Moon Greatsword. Increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Increased the frost buildup effect during the skill duration. Nice. Nice. That's my main weapon right there. So that's awesome. Awesome. Cool buff. Wave of Gold, decreased FP cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Wolf's Assault, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. The Queen's Black Flame, increased cast speed. And here we see it again. Added a window to the attack, to cancel the animation. And we see that actually down here too with Onyx Lord's Repulsion, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. And then they added that window. Dynast's Finesse, decreased stamina cost. Flowing Form, decreased stamina cost. Death Flare, increased cast speed. And like I just said, Onyx Lord's Repulsion, you got the increased cast speed, decreased recovery time, and then that window where you can roll to cancel the animation. Which again, I think that's really it's really for PvP, right? Magma Guillotine, decreased stamina cost, increased cast speed, decreased recovery time on follow-up input. All right. Cursed Blood Slice, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Ice Lightning Sword, increased cast speed, added a hitbox to the stomp animation. Roses' Summons, decreased recovery time. I Command Thee Kneel, increased cast speed including follow-up input, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. You see that a lot. Goldbreaker, decreased FP cost, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time. Familial Rancor, added a window to roll during the attack to cancel the animation. Interesting. Nebula, increased cast speed and decreased recovery time with the weapon Bastard's Stars. Interesting. That's the one that's the one of the ones that you can get from Astel. Regal Beastclaw, increased cast speed. Devourer of Worlds, increased cast speed. Regal Roar, decreased recovery time. Spear Call Ritual, decreased recovery time. Ancient Lightning Spear, decreased FP cost and increased cast speed, allows player to more easily withstand enemy attacks while casting. We saw that with some of the sorceries. Great Serpent Hunt, decreased recovery time and increased damage, allows player to more easily withstand attacks from enemies. Frenzy Flame Thrust, decreased FP cost, decreased recovery time, decreased madness buildup on self. Blood Boon Ritual, increased cast speed. Miquella's Ring of Light, increased cast speed. Sea of Magma, increase the cast speed, decrease recovery time, and then there's the added window to roll. Same thing as Flame Dance, Storm Kick, Bear Witness, increased cast speed, decreased stamina cost. Upward and downward adjustments, Thundercloud form, decreased damage when activated with a short button press, decreased FP cost, increased cast speed, and decreased recovery time. Ooh, now we get to the bug fixes. Oh, this is a big one. Fixed a bug where the damage of Inescapable Frenzy was affected by right-hand weapon. I didn't really know about that one, but I didn't really use that incantation. Fixed a bug where the damage of the weapon arts, Carrion Retaliation, was increased by weapon and status, and the effect was not displayed correctly during online multiplayer. Ooh. So they patched that, Carrion Retaliation. So that was also scaling on weapon and status. Ooh. They fixed that. May not be as viable. Maybe it's not as powerful now. We have to see. I don't think it will be. Fixed a bug where the animation when inflicted with blood loss and frostbite was bigger than originally planned. Yeah, man, you can stagger like crazy when you get afflicted with that, man. Inflicted. Fixed a bug during character appearance change menu in which some parameter changes were sometimes not reflected. I actually had this going on. I was trying to give my my main character Giga Chad chin, and it wouldn't work. I was scaling the sliders, nothing was happening. Fixed a bug that prevented a dialogue from appearing when executing leave on some items. Fixed a bug that allowed unauthorized items to be passed to other players. Ooh. Now, I heard that there was an item going around that people were dropping. It was something that was related to Fia, right? And when they dropped it and you picked it up, it's like, yeah, it was a... Yeah, basically it got you banned. So they helping us out here with unauthorized items to be passed to other players. This could mean runes also. I don't know. Does this mean that you guys can't duplicate runes anymore? Could be. You know, I'm not sure. Fixed a bug in multiplayer that prevented Grace to be registered on the map if it was found just before the player is summoned. I don't think I ever had that happen. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented the mechanic of Renala, Queen of the Full Moon Fight, from working properly during cooperative multiplayer. They good. I'm happy they fixed that. Early on when I fought Renala, I was doing some summons, and yeah, they you couldn't get, you know how in the Renala fight where the crawling or children where, you know, you have to smack them, you know, the glowing one. Yeah, it didn't trigger. So I had to do the Renala fight alone, which, you know, I accomplished, but I had summoned some people to help or the NPCs to help. It just wouldn't work. It glitched out. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented the player from entering the boss area after defeating Margot the Omen King. Fixed a bug that prevented Edgar the Revenger and Festering Fingerprint Vike from invading after defeating all the bosses in Liurnia of the Lake. Oh, okay, so there was, I think I had an issue with this with... I don't know if it was Edgar. I can't remember, but that's good. The item tonic of Forgetfulness can now be obtained at the Volcano Manor if the player wasn't able to obtain it due to quest progression. Ooh. Does this... I wonder if this was the reward for the final... maybe the final invasion for the Volcano Manor questline, which I locked myself out of because I killed Rykar too soon. So that could be that. I want to go test that out. That's interesting. Fixed a bug that caused the reduction of runes due to NPC Gostock when player died in Stormville Castle to occur at an unintended timing. Okay. You know, I never noticed it. I died in Stormville Castle, I'm sure, plenty of times. But I never noticed that my runes were like less. I don't know. I just wasn't paying attention. Added a protective barrier to Millicent after helping her at Miquella's Halig Tree so she cannot be unintentionally killed. I saw videos on this. I saw videos on this, like people jumped on her or just walked or ran, and if they touched her, she died immediately, and then they got locked out. So glad to see they fixed that. Sorry for everyone that, you know, didn't get it fixed in time. But now it's fixed, and that's good because I'm coming up towards the end of her quest line, so I won't have to worry about that. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented the player from obtaining the reward after defeating the Dung Eater. Eating dung. Ew, it's gross. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented the player from Progress Diallo's questline. I never found Diallos again. I never found him in the game again. So maybe I was stricken with this bug right here. And maybe I can go to Liurnia and see if I can find him now, because I never found him again. He wasn't anywhere to be found anywhere. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented player from duplicating remembrance at the walking mausoleum. I had this happen to me. This actually cost me Renala's remembrance at one point, because I stupidly, mistakenly, when I was at the mausoleum, I was trying to duplicate it because I wanted her scepter and her spell. I wanted the moon spell. And I stupidly, it wasn't working for some reason. It was showing, one of the mausoleums, it was showing nothing in, like when I went to go, you know, interact with it, it showed no remembrances in my inventory. So I went into my inventory and I used Renala's, I know it's stupid, I used her remembrance and it gave me 20k runes instead of using it at the mausoleum. It was so stupid. But I was a victim to that. Fixed a bug that prevented player from inputting consecutive attacks when dual wielding thrust swords. I wasn't aware of that. I haven't used thrust swords. Fixed a bug that causes the scythe to lose blood loss effect if poison affinity is applied to the weapon. Oh, I didn't know that was going on. Interesting. Fixed a bug where the damage of the Iron Greatsword was lower than expected when an affinity was applied. Well, you're using an Iron Greatsword, so no, I'm just kidding. Fixed a bug that caused FP consumption to increase when the player cast Night Comet with charge. Yeah, I kind of did notice that a few times. Fixed a bug that causes the default key setting on keyboard for weapon skill left control to not be set. That was a PC thing. Okay, I don't play with the keyboard and mouse. It's crazy if you're playing with keyboard and mouse on this game. Fixed a bug in the Steam version where the history of players who played multiplayer was not displayed correctly under certain circumstances. Increased online multiplayer stability. There it is. That's what we've been waiting for. Increased online multiplayer stability. So hopefully summons will be much better now. Let's see. That remains to be tested. Fixed a bug that caused incorrect sounds to be played under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug that caused some places on the map to have incorrect visual and hitbox. I wonder if that affects the zips. Maybe. Fixed a bug that causes some enemies to have incorrect visual and behavior. Fixed a bug that causes some armor to have incorrect stats. Text fix? Interesting. Other performance improvements and bug fixes. The version number of this update shown at the lower right corner of the title screen will be as follows. App version 1.04, regulation version 1.04.1. Online play requires the player to apply this update. Please note this patch mistakenly included an update to the duration of the Cerulean hidden tier, shortening it. This unintentional change will be reverted with a minor patch in the near future. Our apologies for any inconvenience that this may have caused. We will continue to provide important update in the future so you can enjoy Elden Ring more comfortably. You may also join the official Discord server for additional updates and to connect with the Elden Ring community. All right. Well, there you have it. Patch notes 1.04, everybody. With all the, what they call the balance adjustments, the upwards and downwards, the buffs, the debuffs, the corrections. What's coolest, of course, to me is this one right there. Increased online multiplayer stability. That should make things a lot easier, hopefully, for everybody to enjoy the game. All right, everybody, this is Draco signing out. Thank you very much. Again, Elden Ring patch notes version 1.04. Go check it out. Make sure you update and enjoy the game, guys. All right, peace.